It's it up to McCaffrey. There he goes. It's a C-Mac attack. McCaffrey, one man to beat.
This is Desmond Johnson on the Bleav in Carolina Panthers podcast, here on the Bleav Podcast Network, the #1 podcast network for professionals. Do you Bleav? If you enjoy the show, please subscribe and rate the show on iTunes. We're available in your favorite directories: iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, Luminary, and TuneIn. You can also find us at Bleav.com and at Bleav Podcasts on Twitter. And happy Monday to all in Panther Nation. Well, maybe not such a happy Monday after what we just went through yesterday. Welcome to the Bleav in Carolina Panthers podcast. Desmond Johnson, Jonathan Stewart, Schuyler, Callihan in the house to basically put a face on how all of you are probably feeling at this point. The Panthers falling to the Arizona Cardinals 26-16, 1-3 on the season so far, 1-2 at home. 3 of the first 4 Carolina Panthers games have been played at home. They have managed to win 1 of those, and we will dive in with what we saw yesterday. We've got some audio from head coach Matt Rule, press conference hot coming out of the presses from an hour or two ago. Schuyler was there. Schuyler got a chance to actually talk to some of the players as well, including PJ Walker, so we'll hear what he got from that. Stu was actually at the game yesterday, and he'll be able to talk about the pulse of Panther Nation right now, because we were hearing a whole lot of booing going on yesterday in Bank of America Stadium, and plus we'll just basically kind of figure out what we're supposed to be doing going forward here, because there's a whole lot of confusion. Even national media is starting to realize, the Panthers aren't playing a brand of football that's very easy to watch right now. That was the main thing I took away from yesterday. It was really hard to get into the game, and it was really hard to catch a feel of the game. Like, it just felt flat or something. I don't know. I don't even know if flat really justifies what we watched yesterday. It just wasn't good football. And this has been a pattern. So we'll get into all that here today on this episode of the Bleav in Carolina Panthers podcast, brought to you by Bet Online. Speaking of Bet Online, football is back. Bet Online remains your #1 source for all your football betting needs this season. You'll find the latest odds, matchup info, player news, and game trends. And as your continued source for all sports wagering info, Bet Online features live betting, free contests, live scores, and giveaways all season long. Always the fastest and easiest way to bet on all favorite sports and events like MLB, MMA, tennis, boxing, and even golf. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 100% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure you use the promo code Bleav, BLEAV, to receive your rewards. That is Bet Online, where the game starts. And where we will start is a look at the box score from yesterday. Arizona come from behind victory. They were down 10-0 at one point, or no, 7-0. 10, it doesn't really matter. They were down at one point in the first half, and then of course Carolina loses the lead. Fellas, as soon as Arizona crossed that 17-point barrier, my mind immediately shifted to, we're going to lose this football game. Like, we're going to lose this game. There's going to be no comeback. There's going to be no field goal at the end, no feel-good moment. Like, it felt like it was going that direction anyway. But when they crossed that magic 17-point number, I was just like, oh, man, this is a wrap right now. And for those that don't know, the Panthers are 1-26 under head coach Matt Rule now when the opponent scores at least 17 points, including 24 losses in a row. So I'll hand the ball off to you, Stu, off of that, and get your opinion. For starters, you were at the vault yesterday at Bank of America Stadium. One of the things that's kind of going around right now is Baker Mayfield's reaction to the booing that he received throughout the game yesterday. Give me a sense of the vibe you're catching amongst the fan base, because you would know more than anyone how this fan base can turn on you based off the performance.
Yeah, man. First of all, I mean, as a player, a former player, you feed off of the energy of the fans. I don't care who you are. I don't care how locked in or how mentally focused you are. The fans are important, and we play this game, and we're able to play this game because of the fans. So, going to the game yesterday as a fan, it felt real flat out the gate. Just the pregame, noise. I'm used I mean, when we played, back in the day, like I'm saying back in the day, like 5, 6 years ago, but like the energy was like there. Like you come out of the tunnel for your pregame warm up as groups. The running backs come out, the special teams comes out, receivers come out. You have the fans cheering as those guys come out, not just your intros when you're coming out of the tunnel, jumping out of the tunnel with the fire blazing, the cheerleaders and all that. That's expected, but like just the pregame warm up effect was flat, and the people that I was with, I mentioned that to them, like, man, this doesn't really seem like we're at a football game. But hey,
It didn't
whatever.
sound like a football game on TV.
But
Like it didn't have the excitement. It wasn't there.
yeah, I'm not sure, but I mean, I think there's a responsibility as players to win games, obviously, right? And we're not doing that. We haven't done it in a long time, and it's got to happen in order for any of those things to change. You're going to hear disgruntled fans. You're going to hear, the boos and all those types of things, and they're going to find someone to blame because they're not in the locker room. They're not going to practice every day, so they don't know what's happening. So that's why they're disgruntled, so they want answers, because people are paying money, especially during these times right now. I mean, people are paying money to come see you play, and they want to see something worth watching. And yesterday, unfortunately, offensively, it was hard to watch. And for me, it's hard to watch because, I know Christian McCaffrey personally, and I see a guy like that. It's just a waste of his time, to be honest. It's a waste of his time, his talent, his abilities as a player. Like, we got to get this thing going. And we've been talking on this podcast for the last
month,
month
5
about,
months,
yeah,
yeah.
about like, what is our identity? Like, who are we? Who are you? Not who do you want to be, but who are you today? Because we're 4 weeks in. It's the whole let's wait and see who we are, or like let's work out who we want to become. No, you got to wake up in the morning and look at yourself in the mirror and say, who am I? And like turn on the film and see if that matches up. Because if it doesn't match up, you got to be real with that as a player.
The Panthers only rushed 13 times for 40 yards yesterday. Christian McCaffrey, 8 carries for 27 yards, a 3.4 yard average. Donta Foreman got a carry. Laviska Shenault got a carry.
It's not gonna do it, right?
Not going to work.
We won our game because we ran the ball well and played defense well, and special teams showed up. That's why that was the winning ingredients right there. So why we go away from that, I get it. We can't really formulate these drives because we're 3 and out. Like, we can't get anything moving. So it's like, well, we don't have that many plays to run because we're always 3 and out. Well, let's just start running the ball on first down every time.
Dude,
let's run the ball on first down every time. So, I don't care if we line up with 5 fullbacks in the backfield, but like, that's an identity. It's an identity, bro.
I see Schuyler smirking because I clipped, actually. Matt Rule was actually asked this question today, like specifically in the press conference. And as I was going through it, I realized it and I clipped it. And I want you to hear his answer to that question you just said about third down. I'll just step out the way.
Yeah, we need to run the football more. That being said, it's hard to run the football when you're as bad as we were on third down. We have to fix third down. I've been saying it for a couple of weeks. It hasn't happened. So trust me, but it's the football part of it, right? Like, we ran the ball the first play, the second play, it's 3rd and 5, and then they sack us on 3rd and 5, then come out the next drive. So if we can convert and stay on the field, then I think there's a lot more ability to run the football. They were a team last night that, they brought the safeties. They ran through, they were bringing pressure. They were they were going to try to stop the run because that's what we do well. And to me, we have to be able to counter that by throwing them out of that. And I just didn't get it done.
Did I hear that right?
I have a lot of things wrong. Listen.
Okay, because I clipped it and I was like, did he just say if we pass it better on first and second down, we can run it more on third? Did I get that right? Or I don't know. I needed somebody else to hear it.
Listen,
Schuyler, what did you
tell us?
What did you get from that?
Get us right, Schuyler, because I'm over here kind of like.
I don't know if I'm the guy to get you right. I think the next question was my question, and it was more so the lack of success you have in early downs. Does that have a major factor into the third down success, or is it just what you do on third down? He said yesterday that he didn't really feel like that was the case because they were getting 3rd and 1s, 4th and 1s, stuff like that. But weeks before, that was a problem because they were getting in 3rd and longs and 3rd and mediums and whatnot. But in that clip, he said they ran the ball well on 1st and 2nd down, got to 3rd and 5, and then got sacked. But my thing is, I only remember that happening one time where they ran the ball back-to-back plays on 1st and 2nd down.
And if it's 3rd and 5, you didn't run it well on 1st and 2nd down. Like if you ran it on 1st and 2nd and it's 3rd and 5, you didn't run it well. Like I think that's where I'm stuck. Like, what does he mean? Like what is his definition of well?
The big problem with this team is they can't stay on the field. They don't get enough snaps. This is something we've talked about the first 3 weeks. When I was writing the recap yesterday, I was like, man, it seems like Arizona's had the ball for forever in the second half. And I go back and I'm like, okay, I'm going through all my charts and I'm like, the Panthers have 7 snaps in the 3rd quarter. 7 snaps. That's it. That's all they had. 7 snaps, 12 yards. When you have 7 snaps of offense in a quarter, you're not going to win games, especially when you turn the ball over as much as they did.
At any level.
Yeah.
High school, college, like at any level. If you don't have the ball, then you can't really do a whole lot, you know?
Back to what Stu was saying with the identity thing, and he may agree or disagree. To me, good teams know their identity before the season even starts. When you're still trying to figure that out in week 4, week 5,
get too late.
That just shows you what we're seeing right now. But the problem is this team has lacked an identity for almost 2+ seasons now. They should know their identity by now, regardless of if it was Baker at quarterback or Sam Darnold at quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater. Like, it doesn't matter.
The identity is Christian McCaffrey needs to touch the ball 30 times a game.
Please.
30.
It seems like the easiest solution.
But like, and if I'm the offensive coordinator and this is going on around me, I'm gonna go to the faucet and drink that juice or that water.
All day.
H2O. I got juice in my faucet.
It's funny too because the fan base used to complain about how we used McCaffrey too much. I haven't forgotten that. Like before he got hurt, it was more of we're leaning on McCaffrey too much. But now we see how easy it was for like Cam or Teddy Bridgewater or whoever to just check down. It's right there. They don't even run a check down.
You don't even have to make it like that, though. You have Deontay Foreman. You have guys that play running back positions, okay? So take turns, level it out, but call those plays. Know your personnel. Yesterday, I feel like we didn't know our personnel enough. We're throwing tight end screens, and they're dropping passes. Those are wasted plays. We're running reverses, okay? With Rashard Higgins, who hasn't touched the ball. So if I'm an offensive coordinator, I'm going to put that type of play in the hands of someone that I've seen touch the ball at least. You know what I'm saying? Like now, because those are wasted plays.
Why are we running double reverses? That was I think I asked y'all, like, what are we doing? That's a high school play. Like, why are we running double reverses in like
those things? I will tell you this. The plays that are being called are there, but we're not executing them. Why aren't we executing them? Why aren't we're not executing them? Because personnel. The people that are supposed to execute either haven't practiced the play enough, they haven't ran it enough, they are not equipped. I don't know. The plays are there. DJ Moore was wide open.
Yep.
Okay. Throw him open.
Sometimes too, I noticed because I was really watching Baker yesterday. I got so used to that McCaffrey coming out, like he'll chip block and then come out the backfield and be like a safety valve.
Yeah.
He doesn't even look his direction. Like he's
Yeah.
over here somewhere. He doesn't even think about McCaffrey being open. Yeah, he might be at the line of scrimmage or towards the sideline, but give that dude some space one-on-one. I'm a bet on him every time. Get him the ball and go
He
get
wasn't
7 yards real quick.
He wasn't doing things like that in Cleveland. They were the passing plays that were being ran to him in Cleveland were all like legit. Hey, this is a screen to the running back. Hey, this is a bullet route to Hunt down the sideline, in red zone. Like he's not used to the safety valve, and like I'm really confused on yesterday's game because this was a game for anybody to win throughout the whole entire game.
Yep.
And for whatever reason, we panic or we go into this mode of, hey, we're a passing team. Let's just pass the ball. And what happens when you pass the ball? You get an incomplete pass. Your time in possession and your time for your defense on the field. I mean, what, we were 2 for 10 on third down? Okay. That's not going to cut it. So something's not working when we commit to passing the ball like we did yesterday.
My two biggest gripes with yesterday and kind of what we've seen kind of become a theme. The RPOs are okay to run, but in the situations that you run them is my problem. To me, when it was late in the game and the Cardinals were up, they still had a chance to come back. It was 4th and 1. Why is the RPO being called when you literally have Christian McCaffrey, you have Deontay Foreman, a guy that's a huge power back? If you're going to go for it, why are you doing an RPO? Because to me, if I'm a quarterback and I know I got to get a yard, I want to do as less thinking as possible. I don't want to have to read something else that the defense is doing to make my decision to get a yard. My thing is I'm going to trust that offensive line, turn around and hand it off to Christian or Deontay and say, go get me that yard. I don't need to sit here and read and try to pick apart the defense to get a dang yard. The second thing is first drive of the game for Carolina. They go for it on fourth and a foot, whatever. I understand the want to go for it because you believe in your O-line and all that. But there's this thing with the offense, right? They can't stay on the field. But there's certain situations where you don't want to force them to try and stay on the field. And then you put your defense, who's already got to be on the field a ton as it is. You know they're going to be on the field a lot because your offense can't stay on the field. Why put your defense in a bad situation right out of the gate? Luckily, they got the stop, but I don't like the idea of putting them in a bad spot right out of the chute.
It's almost like they don't think about the other side. The offense doesn't think about the effect on the defense. And the defense is just – it's almost like the defense is playing as a separate team because the defense has got intensity.
What is that, Des? Complementary football.
Supposed to be, but we're not doing that, like, at all. And, like, that one – I think it was the 4th one you were talking about. The immediately when they came out the huddle, my first thing I said out loud into an empty living room was, it's 4th and 1. Why in the world are we lined up in shotgun with Christian McCaffrey 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage? Like, what are we doing? Like, and it gave them enough time to stop it. They stuffed it at the line. Like, why do we have Deontay Foreman here? Like, that's why we brought him here to spell him, right? Shouldn't he have been in there for short yard situations?
Well,
they don't understand who they have.
I think too, like, what, the third down? Was it the 3rd and 1 before the 4th and 1? If I'm correct, right?
Yeah.
We did a QB like a QB sneak, was it?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So my question is, play calling wise, 3rd and 1. Oh, let's QB sneak it. We don't like doing it, but we're going to do it. No, let's run the ball right there and then 3rd and 1.
There. That's when you do it.
And if you want to do something crazy, like go for it, let's QB sneak it. Because that
Tom
actually
Brady
might
style.
work.
Literally Tom Brady style. Everybody run up to the line of scrimmage and just move forward a foot.
Right.
Like, Tom Brady probably is one of the best quarterback sneak QBs of all time, and you wouldn't think it looking at him, but that's what he does. He literally just rides the center forward.
The biggest thing about running the ball, the mindset and the identity behind running the ball, being a running football team, is wearing down defenses. defenses do not want to stop the run. They don't want you to call a run play. They would rather you call a pass play and them just sit back and into coverage. You know what I'm saying? That's what defenses would rather do. So why make it even? Why would you make it easy for a defense? Like, your job is to put pressure on them. Like you do that as the Carolina Panthers by putting Christian McCaffrey in space, utilizing your backfield, having your quarterback manage the game well. We don't need any of these like trick plays. We don't need anything spectacular. We need the ball in Chenault's hands, Christian McCaffrey's hands, DJ Moore's hands. If we do those three things for the whole entire game, only touching those three guys' hands, I don't care. That's our identity. Let's stick to it.
but it seems like McAdoo doesn't subscribe to that. Like, in terms of, I can't put my finger on what he wants this offense to be. And yeah, I get it. Some of the plays they've ran, dudes are open, running around out there. But again, it doesn't matter if Baker's got 2 seconds to pass or Baker's hitting hands of the defensive end trying to throw the ball out. We listened to Matt Rule talk about, the plays were working, blah, blah, blah down there. We just couldn't get the ball to him for whatever reason. In his mind, he was thinking we couldn't get it there because the balls kept getting patted down all day and we never adjusted from it. The stuff we talked about just a second ago with the offense fitting the personnel, because I've been saying that Ben McAdoo is a West Coast offense guy. And I think Matt Rule wants to be that kind of coach. But for the past 3 years, they have drafted players that don't fit that system. They have drafted as if Ron Rivera was still here. Run first, defensive-minded, tough-nosed, don't make mistakes, don't beat yourself. Like, that's literally – I wish we could somehow trade Matt Rule to the Commanders for Ron Rivera. Like, I seriously do. I really would. Like, and I've got Commander like fans like that are friends that are like, yo, we would throw money in that deal to get rid of Ron Rivera right now. I'm like, we would take him back in a second. Like, because Ron Rivera, regardless of his faults, you had an identity. We knew what the team was about. Like, it might have worked this week. It might not have worked the next week, depending on matchups or whatever. But we knew what the team was. And it's been that way the entire time the Panthers have existed. From George Seifert to John Fox to Ron Rivera, they've always been a run-first, defensive-minded football team. So when you get Matt Rule coming in here and they gut the entire defense, they decide to become – so you're thinking, okay, defensive-minded. They're going to rebuild the defense and live off the defense, right? They do that. You've already got Christian McCaffrey, who many consider one of the top running backs in the league, not just in the division, but in the entire league, and you refuse to give it to him. I can't sit here and look at this box score and see that he only got 8 carries in a game where it was 10-10 in the third quarter. Yeah. And he got 8 carries. What are we doing? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So I want to play.
We're wasting his time. That's what
we're wasting his prime. We're wasting Christian McCaffrey's prime years. The money, the bag we gave him last year, the extension or whatever, he's in that now. DJ Moore, we just gave him an extension. We're wasting his prime. These dudes, you're going to start. If this keeps going this way, it's just human nature that eventually the players are going to turn. Now, I did see video last week from Panther Confidential that showed behind the scenes after the win. Robbie Anderson gave Matt Rule the team ball in the locker room. And I saw that and I'm like, oh, okay. The players have not checked out on Matt Rule. They're still fighting for him. They're still wanting him to win. They still Bleav in what he's saying in there. But everywhere else outside, like the fan base, even the diehards that have been trying to defend him, they're all starting to turn. Like, they've seen enough of this. It's going on 3 years. Like, they've seen enough of what we've been watching. Let me play the audio real quick of Matt Rule describing whether or not Ben McAdoo's offense fits the personnel that's on the team. This is from Panthers.com.
McAdoo's offense fits the personnel here, and if it does, what adjustments does he have to make it work?
Yeah, I definitely think it does. I mean, I go back to it's a small play, but it's kind of what happened last night, right? We run double post, and Robbie runs the over route, and in my vision when he calls that play, because you can see it, hey, the way they're playing us, like, if we just connect on that pass, it's down the right sideline for a 50-yard gain, and we just don't connect on it, right, for whatever reason. And so I think Ben's adapted to, hey, we have Christian, we've been running it more going into last night. We didn't run as much as we wanted, but I think the issue for us is third down, and we have to fix third down. We've got to fix third down. We have to stay on the field, keep our defense off the field. And so, we've run it on third down. We've run 3-step. I just think we have to execute it better. And Ben will be the first guy to say, like, he puts things on himself. He's been in this chair, right? He's been an OC. He's been a head coach. He knows what it's like. But I always go back and look at the plan afterwards. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, hey, are guys open? Like that to me, that's the job of the coordinator. Are guys open? And then there are other matchups that we're handling key matchups. And so, to me, I felt like we had guys open last night. I kind of, you guys know, I kind of challenged receiver. I thought DJ and Robbie were flying around last night, and just for one reason or another, it's not coming to fruition. We have to get the execution right. But I think Ben's had a good plan last night. They had a good plan. Third down, we have to win third down.
So, thoughts on this? I wrote down Baker or Ben. Like, who is the biggest issue for the Panthers right now? Is it Baker Mayfield or is it Ben McAdoo? Because sometimes it's like you'll see a play and it's like, well, why are we running that? And then Baker does something in the play and you're like, well, why did he do that? Like it feels like someone deserves some blame. I came here today to blame somebody. I find out who I need to blame. Is it Baker Mayfield? Is it Ben McAdoo? Is it Matt Rule? Like, who am I blaming here? Someone help me. Help me.
What is it? Hold on, I got a question. What is it going to do to find the blame?
It'll just focus my anger more. It'll tunnel vision the anger.
Right now, Panther fans, right? We got to learn how to cope. Okay,
don't learn how to cope. No,
because what I'm telling you is as bad as it is. We are still 1-0 in our division. Okay, as bad as it is, so
we're one game out of first.
We have that for us, right?
We are one game out of first place.
Now, that does not excuse the horrific offensive presentation, especially from yesterday. Does not excuse that. Blaming Ben, blaming Baker is not going to do anything for anyone.
Still make me feel better, Stu.
Only thing that we can hope right now is that Baker settles into what he is needed to be. He's needed to be a game manager. Whatever play you decide, whatever choices you decide to make on that football field, whether it's throwing a pass, handing it off, it's taking a snap, making the reads, do it in the best interest for the next play.
I did see something interesting that this is going to start to bring. I did not expect this to come back to this point.
Yeah, you did.
Schuyler, no, not this point. Schuyler, I got to ask because I saw it start popping up. Sam Darnold's eligible to come off the injured reserve list.
No, stop all that. Stop.
Stop.
He's hurt. Let him heal in his own. Let him heal in peace.
How far away is Sam Darnold? Because I feel like we're going to see him again. Like at this point,
that's why you have a backup, right? That's why he's a backup. But
we
let him
see him again.
Let's let him heal in peace. Okay.
It's like
I don't think that talk is going to help anything. What we got to figure out right now is Ben McAdoo. Let's not shoot ourselves in the foot personnel wise. You call the reverse with a guy that ain't touched the ball in ages.
You've been out there.
We out there trying to do tight end screens because we've seen the LA Rams were successful with that. So we want a copycat. I get it. It's a copycat league. Personnel wise, should we do it? Probably not, because we have other options. That's where I'm talking as far as Ben McAdoo. I think we can do better. I think you could go sit in your office, look at your guys, look at your film, and say to yourself, this is who we are. Now, this is what I'm going to do with it. I want to see that. I don't want to see copycat. I don't want to see what you saw from a team before, because that means you scheme in every single team, which by design, we don't have any identity out of that. You're saying, this week we'll be the drop back team like the Rams. This week we'll be the running team like the Browns. Or like, who
The
knows?
Patriots
You know
are the only team I've ever seen that's able to do that, to basically be a chameleon each week and just basically do the game plan off of who they're playing and actually
But
execute it. And you know
but
what I
not
mean?
anymore. Not
No,
anymore.
no.
Because they don't have, because right now they can't do that.
Yep.
They don't have the personnel.
Hey, they gave the Packers a run with a third string quarterback yesterday. I was like, dang, what's going on over here? But you did mention Schuyler off camera before we started, bringing up the quarterback room, the Sam Darnold thing. I think I did see that he's a little bit of ways off. He wouldn't be ready to play Sunday if they needed him to play Sunday. But I thought you mentioned something about you had spoke to PJ Walker about things that were going on, the Baker Mayfield stuff. The stuff today has been mainly about Baker Mayfield basically dismissing the fans' reaction of booing to him, and him basically saying, I don't care about that. When we start winning, we'll be the only ones in this locker room. The tone that he had with it, and we saw it on First Take earlier this morning, Stephen A. Smith actually shouting out my hometown when he was talking about this, and he had a very good point. He graduated from Winston-Salem State. He wrote for the Greensboro News and Record before he went on to Philly. You can't say that here in the Bible Belt. Like, you can't just dismiss these fans as if they're dumb and don't know what they're talking about. And once we get it right, we'll be fine with them or without them. Because these fans here in Carolina, they will run you out of here. Like, not only will they run you out of here, they'll make it where nobody wants to touch you in the NFL at a certain point. Like, you're Baker, this is your career. Like, we are talking about your career, because if it fails here, I don't know who's going to give him another shot in this position as a starting quarterback, where he doesn't really have to look over his shoulder at somebody like coming after his job. If he can't get it together right here, this is it. And he can't go in there and be like, I don't care what the fans think, blah, 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 yada, yada. Because that's the tone I got from hearing it. And it made me feel a certain way. I'm like, oh, really? Well, if you don't care, why should we care about your success? And the whole thing falls apart. But Schuyler, you said you heard some stuff from or talked to PJ Walker about the quarterback situation. Well, not the situation, but the situation surrounding the quarterbacks in Carolina.
Yeah, so actually, it was something I got passed along from Miss Vashti Hurt. I was actually sitting there typing a bunch of Matt Rule stuff up, so she went over there and spoke to some people today, so I didn't get the time. But she passed this along to me, and I thought it was very interesting. I'll have to go back and watch it on the tape. But yesterday, Baker was asked about if he feels like the defense apparently just, all these teams really, if the opposing defenses are doing something to where they know when he's about to throw the ball. And he gave a smart aleck remark, kind of said, I don't know, I haven't asked them. Something like that. Something something very Baker-esque. Well, Vashti was talking to PJ about it, and he had said something about, like, when, sometimes, or like defenses, they watch their tape too. And sometimes it could be a small things. He didn't say this is what it was, but that it could be something as simple as when he goes to tap the ball before he throws, as soon as he taps, that may trigger the D-line to stop their rush and just put their hands up. So I don't know if that's something that's legit, if that's something he said. Again, I don't know the whole conversation that was had. I'll have to go back and watch the tape, but that's something that maybe
I'm gonna go back and there's the NFL puts the recap of each game up, after, and I watched it yesterday. I don't know why I put myself through it. I'll probably watch it again now after you just said that, because they may be onto something there, because it felt like it was coordinated. Like the batted balls yesterday, it felt like they knew when he was going to throw the football. And I was like, I've never seen a guy get his football batted down so many times in one game. Like,
and it could be his footwork too, right? Like a guy taking his drops. Like, if it's very repetitive in the sense of like how he's going through his reads and his progressions and his drop, you can tell when he's about to release a ball, like time wise. If he has a pocket,
you can notice with the hips too, right? I mean,
yeah, you can. There's a lot of.
Yeah.
I mean, this is why this is the NFL, right? Professional football. This is professional football. You got guys that legit watch film and dissect players every week in and week out, to get an edge. And so Baker's got to know that. And, if we're, again, 5 batted passes, those are called wasted plays. I'm just tired of the wasted plays.
Think about
It doesn't matter how open the wide receivers were. Like, and that's what Matt Rule was keying in on. Well, they were all open. It was actually working. No, it didn't work because the play didn't get executed. Like, it doesn't really matter if part of the play did. Like, it feels like they try to just take a little bit of something that was good in the play and use that. But that's not
one of the things that I sense right now, man, is like from the leadership standpoint, like you got to embrace this. Like, you got to embrace the fans. You got to embrace and take 1 and 3 personal. You got to take if you're coming off as a receiver and your responsibility is to run somebody off, I want to see you sprinting so hard to where you might be tired at the end. You might come out for a break.
Be frank.
You know what I'm saying?
Be frank.
So like Frankie Louvu, I bought a Frankie Louvu during the game yesterday.
I need a shirt.
I bought myself a Frankie Louvu jersey on Fanatics out the gate just because of seeing him in person, flying to the ball. Like, that's how guys got to be for each other. He's flying around, defense is flying around because they taking it personal at this point.
Yep.
Offense has to find that edge. Rally around Christian, offensive coordinator. Get behind your dog. Let him eat. Let him bark. Let him eat. Let him feel the game and feel it through him. There's so much that goes into winning games that I think we're not taking advantage of in the sense of preparation. Even what are we preparing for? What plays are we running throughout the week? Are we just trying different things throughout the week and then not running it on Sunday? What's happening?
That's exactly what's happening. It feels like you just described a week. Let's be really good at running this one play. Let's run this one play 500 times this week and be really good at it. And then on Sunday, we'll be really, really good at it. And we'll actually move the chains and we'll actually start having possessions that go longer than 3 plays.
I want to say this too, because Stu brought it up. You had 51 plays that were charted, right? So if you take away the 5 batted passes and the 3 turnovers, that's simple math, right? 51 minus 8, 43. You're not going to do much.
Yeah, start bringing those back, man.
How can you expect to win a football game with 43 plays?
Yeah.
Which
means your defense is out there just being gassed. And they played their butts off, man. Brian Burns had a hell of a game.
It's the same script.
Championship level defense. I will stand on the top of the hill for that. That is a championship level defense.
Yeah, I think the defense is a top 5 defensive unit in the entire league. And they were and this is carried over from last year. They were like that last year. And they've added some pieces and they are legit.
Derek Brown's playing good.
Yeah, he's playing good.
But you know
it's wearing on him though.
The difference is
gotta be wearing on him.
Phil Snow actually knows his personnel and knows how to get the best out of them. We've seen guys on that defense that necessarily aren't the best players, but he's moving them around to where they are succeeding at a higher level than they really should.
Like a Miles Hatfield, somebody like that wouldn't probably be a starter anywhere, but he's a good piece in our rotation in the secondary.
One guy that doesn't get talked about, Marquand McCall, the undrafted free agent, defensive tackle. He's not on the field, but maybe 20 snaps a game. But when he's out there, he's making plays.
Yep.
That's what Frankie Louvu did in his role last year. Yep. And now he's become a star. So, I feel like they can match
all pro at this point.
He was the only bright spot, literally, and it came in a position where it was based off his football ability and ability to read the plays and just make a move, make something happen out there.
You want to know something too? Jeremy Chin was hurt yesterday.
He was,
right?
Yeah.
So, and they still went out there and played solid, fundamentally sound football. Run to the ball.
I can't get to and we'll end it here with I got one more audio clip from Coach Matt Rule, who's asked about his job security, because I know there's a lot of people watching and listening to this that are probably wondering about that as well. I still can't get past the idea of a football team having what many would consider a top 5 overall talent on the roster and not coming up with a game plan that's centered around him. Like, our game plans are not centered around Christian McCaffrey. Like, it's painfully obvious that he is not the focal point of our offense. And to me, my question is why? Why is he not the focal point of this offense? If, say, he is the focal point and they stop it, that's fine. You've stopped a top 5 player in the league. We didn't execute right. We know what the problem is. We can fix it. But to almost try to be, it's almost like they're trying to be cute. It's like, yeah, we know we got McCaffrey, but we're going to show you we can do this without McCaffrey. We're going to show you that we can, you know, do all these things, and he's just an extra, he's just gravy for us. Yeah. That's the dumbest thing that anyone could possibly do. If you've got the best player on the field between both teams on that Sunday, get the ball to that guy. 25 touches minimum this dude should have. He had 17 touches yesterday, 9 receptions for 81 yards, 8 carries, 27 yards. He accounted for about 100 yards of offense between the two. The 8 carries for 27 yards ain't it. It's just, I'm sorry, we can't win football games rushing the ball 13 times. We're just not that kind of team, and we never have been. So I don't know why they think that all of a sudden we can be. Again, from Panthers.com, here's Matt Rule being questioned about his job security.
No, I usually talk to Dave on Mondays in the afternoon, then on Tuesdays. So I haven't had anything like that. Did we talk about my job last week? No, he didn't talk to me about that. We talked about trying to beat the Saints, and then this week it was, he's just kind of this week. So, I'm not going to talk a lot about my conversations with Dave, but he wants to win like everybody else wants to win. So he's a really good owner and a good man, and I'm keep doing the best I can for him.
Real quick, and then we'll get you guys out of here. Your thoughts on David Tepper and all of this? Like, is it okay that he's been kind of hands off, letting them try to figure this out, or are you ready for him to step in and be like, "Hey, I know I gave you the money, I know I gave you 7 years. This just ain't working out." Keep in mind, this is the same owner that fired his MLS coach in his first year before the year was over. So the whole idea that he's just like this patient guy, I don't know. He maybe sometimes getting. Is this like a pride thing at this point now? Because we've had 36 games of 37 games of Matt Rule at this point. The Panthers are 5-14 at home in Rule's 3 seasons. They are 1-26 under Rule when opponents score at least 17 points. 24 losses in a row with that stat. Is that enough of a sample size to legit make a decision on Matt Rule? Stu, real quick.
No, I think we're in a time right now where, I'm a firm believer in shaking things up. Absolutely. Got to shake things up if you want a different taste. Get the salt mixed up in the bag a little bit different, right? But we are, again, 1-0 in the division. To stop everything that's going on right now and fire someone and start, pointing fingers like I was trying to say earlier, as far as the coaching staff goes, like there's no need to do any of that. Like, we have to learn to cope with these growing pains or whatever this is that we're going through as fans, because we're still 1-0 in our division. There's still time on the table, whether you want to believe it or not, whether you think that he deserves it or not. I think Tepper's doing the right thing by hands off, because if he understands football, which he does very well, he knows that we have time. And it sucks that we're not winning these games at home, because that's what you want to do at home. You want to win games at home, and we're not doing that. And that's why we're feeling such heat that's why they're feeling so much heat as an organization, because these are home games that they're actually experiencing. Fans are going and traveling and saving money to be a part of this magical year that you want to have for your team. So those things are not happening. We're not out of it. So we don't need to fire anyone. We just need to sit on our hands for a little bit. I'm not one to say, a couple of weeks might change, but right now, living in the present, we just need to, vent to our friends. You can vent on Twitter if you want, whatever you got to do. Just, be patient.
Schuyler, your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean,
I ain't buying Stu's brand, by the way. I'm completely,
Hey, man, You can buy my brand for free.
Schuyler, your thoughts on this real quick. Where are we on this? Are we inching closer and closer to, because you've been one of the ones defending Matt Rule this entire time, and you've had to catch it from the fan base too, being the beat writer for Sports Illustrated for the team. You've been the one preaching patience. It's been 3 years. We've been through year 3.
Well, I've had a whole boatload of this conversation in the last couple of weeks because obviously I cover West Virginia too, and they're in a very similar situation. So my thing is, I don't ever fire a guy in year 1 or year 2 if it looks like you're still working through things and you're still trying to make some progress. And I think that's kind of what we saw the last 2 years. Now, obviously, last year probably a little bit of a disappointment, but it's not like they were 2-15 and then 2-15 again, right? They were still winning games. They were competitive. They were close games that they were losing. I'll say this: 1-3 in year 3, not where you want to be, obviously, but I think we're getting to a point where we're really close to, like, if they get their brains beat in by San Francisco,
Which
I'm
is a
not saying
possibility.
they will, but if they get blown out like 36-6 or something, I don't know how he gets to next week. And I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
Now, if they're competitive and it's like 26-19, 23-21, something like that, he's going to stay. They'd be 1-4. And like Jay Stu said, they're still 1-0 in the division. And if you look at the division right now, it's not very good.
Mm-hmm.
Tampa Bay's terrible. They can't score. They finally scored last night, and the defense took a night off. Atlanta's not that good. New Orleans is terrible right now. So, like, I think it's a week-by-week thing, but I don't know. At some point, you have to get rid of that scenario where if the team scores over 17 points, you lose, because in the last 2 years, the NFL averages between 22 and 23 points a game that is scored. So if you're going just based off of averages, you're losing every game. You got to get over that.
Yeah, and hell, the Saints were letting Jameis Winston play basically with a broken back out there. Like the one win we have is against the Saints, who trotted out a quarterback who had a broken back, and even that game could have went either way. Like, and that's the frustrating thing for Panther fans to me, is that they see the talent, they see the roster, they see the glimpses. They know what we have in certain spots. They know DJ Moore is a top 10 wide receiver when used correctly. They know about CMC. They know about the defensive unit. So to see them do the same mistakes or find creative ways to lose that they didn't the week before, like a different way to do it, that's the train it feels like they're on right now. And the Panther fans, especially the long-term Panther fans, it's not just Matt Rule. It's the franchise. Remember, this franchise has never won back-to-back winning seasons, even still, even through the Cam Newton era, even through Jake Delhomme era. We never had back-to-back winning seasons in year 27, I think we're in right now. So the Panther fan base, when people say, oh, the Panther fan base needs to calm down because, they're trying to work it out. The Panther fan base, for the most part, has been relatively calm for the duration of this franchise. But now you're really I'm really feeling this bubbling over into just not caring about the team. And when you get to that point, it's hard to win those fans back. Look at what's going on at Washington right now. Like, Washington's going through it right now, where just years of ineptitude and name changes and uniform changes and different quarterback, all this different stuff, where now that fan base used to be one of the most loyal fan bases in the entire NFL. That was the fan base here in this area before the Panthers. It was Washington was on in North Carolina at 1 o'clock. That was the 1 o'clock game. I grew up a Redskin fan. And for that fan base to fall apart the way they have right now, where there's just no hope, I feel like the Panther fan base is on that road. And I don't want us to get to the end of that road, because when we get there, I don't know what it takes to drive back up the road to make it where we were at our peak in 2015, like where the national folks were looking at us and people are buying Panther shirts in California and that kind of thing. Yeah. Like, to get back there, man, it's a hard road.
I will say, fan base, you have the feelings. I want you to have the feelings, because they're well deserved. The patience, the time, the waiting, it's been long enough. But what I am saying, you got to be present. and that's how you cope.
Yeah.
So understand what the situation is. Let's not jump the gun, because if we jump the gun, we might shoot our own selves in the foot by doing that. But there will be a time. So
we need
Carolina
to know when
Panthers.
that time is.
So Carolina Panthers.
So we can circle on the calendar and hold people accountable when that date arrives. And it might.
See, that's an instant gratification mindset, man. We got to stay out of the instant gratification. That's part of coping.
And it's not
it's true. It's fact.
I think people think that if they fire Matt Rule, like say they lose next week, if they fire Matt Rule on Monday, it's not going to turn this team into a playoff team.
Yeah, because now the locker room's going to be like,
what are we supposed to do
next?
now?
Am I next?
Yeah. Like, am I going home? What's happening? So I agree with that too. We're getting to this weird part of the season. Now, granted, all this could kind of go away if they go out and beat San Francisco 30-10 on Sunday. It would come out of nowhere. I mean,
McAdoo.
It would literally come
Hey,
out of nowhere.
McAdoo, listen to me. This is Jonathan Stewart speaking.
Get it.
Number 22. I need him to have at least 30 touches.
Yes.
30. And I need Deontay Foreman. I need him to have at least 10. At least.
Oh, we going run heavy.
I want to run heavy because you know what 49ers are going to do? They're going to try to run the ball too, right? We know who they are.
Yep.
Debo Samuel's going to he's a receiver. He's going to have about 8 carries. This is going to be one of those types of games. Let our defense go out there, knock them in the head, because they're going to try to knock us in the head.
Yep.
But we got to make sure we're able to run the ball.
It's teetering. It's teetering. Like I said at the beginning of this, and normally we don't go this long, but I felt like we had to get some of this out. And clearly, I'm looking at people are watching it as we're doing it. So clearly, there's some Panther fans that were waiting to see what we had to say about some of this. This will be up here shortly for you to stream all major podcast outlets. Previous episodes are on the Bleav Podcast Network. Schuyler writes for Sports Illustrated. Follow him on Twitter at Callihan _ to get the latest throughout the week. That Sam Darnold watch, because I swear he's going to make an appearance and sometime in the next 10 days. I feel like he's going to be playing in a second quarter on Fox for us on a Sunday afternoon. That's coming somewhere down the road. That is going to be one of the things that's going to happen. And follow the rest of us on Twitter as well. We're just going to stop it right here. We're just going to stop it right here. Thursday, our preview show, we'll get into the nuts and bolts of Panthers versus 49ers. It's another 4:00 kickoff at Bank of America Stadium on Sunday. It might be on CBS. When they were showing the graphics on Sunday, I noticed they were showing the games they were showing next week, and it didn't have Panthers 49ers in there, but they're NFC teams. So I figured it would be on Fox. I need to check it and see where they're going to be. We'll have it together by Thursday. So we'll get you ready for whatever's going to happen Sunday at Bank of America Stadium. Panthers versus 49ers. Panthers trying to get their second win of the year. We'll get you ready for that. And we might need to start moving it to Monday, but we'll have Tell Them Why You're Mad Thursday as well. So
we might need to tell them why we're mad.
We might
every episode.
So for Jonathan Stewart, Schuyler Callihan, I'm Desmond Johnson. You've been listening to the Bleav in Carolina Panthers podcast here on Bleav Podcast Networks. Keep at it.
All right, guys.